Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bill Kennedy. I'm the Vice Chair of Programs at the Global Interdependence Center, and I will serve as your moderator today. On behalf of the staff and my fellow directors at the GIC, I want to welcome each of you to the GIC Executive Briefing. Today's event is sponsored as part of the David R. Kotok Global Healthcare Series. If you're new to the GIC or this series, it's great to have you. And let me explain the structure of today's program. I will introduce our guest speakers in just a moment. Each will have 10 minutes of opening remarks. We'll then go into an open discussion for roughly 20 minutes, and we'll leave time at the end for audience questions. Some of you have asked questions already through registration, but if you'd like to ask a question during the program, you may do so through the GoToWebinar dashboard. Open up the Questions tab, type in your question, hit Enter, and that will place it into the queue. For the next 60 minutes, there are two simple goals. The first is we want to examine the pandemic's impact with firsthand accounts from two extraordinary university leaders. The second goal is to explore how this healthcare crisis may lead to changes and even innovation in higher education and the university system. So now I'm delighted to introduce our two guests. Dr. Ali Houshmand, who actually is not on camera, but is on with audio. He has served as president of Rowan University in Glassboro, New Jersey since 2012. Under his leadership, Dr. Houshmand has transformed from a well-regarded state school to a Carnegie classified national research university with two medical schools. Rowan's enrollment is 19,000, making it the fourth fastest growing research university in the country. President Houshmand has an impressive personal and professional record in private industry and academia. But among his many achievements, the GIC is most proud to call him one of our own as a fellow director on the GIC board. Dr. Nido Qubein has served as president of High Point University in High Point, North Carolina since 2005. High Point's undergraduate enrollment is 5,000, and under Dr. Quebein's leadership, High Point has transformed to the #1 regional college in the South for 4 consecutive years, according to US News and World Report. Dr. Qubein is an accomplished business leader, a dedicated philanthropist, and servant leader of the High Point community and High Point University for many years. Gentlemen, we welcome you. In preparing for today's discussion, I was very surprised to discover the two of you have so much in common. You were both born and raised in the Middle East, Dr. Houshmand from Iran and President Qubein from Jordanian and Lebanese descent. You both share a story of early adversity and hardship, but found education as a path to a better life. Your leadership has transformed your respective institutions. And surprisingly, you both serve as the 7th president of your respective institutions. Your universities are lucky, and the GIC is lucky to have you with us today. So I can't think of a more qualified, more distinguished panel to discuss the impact of COVID on campus. Dr. Houshmand, you won the coin toss. You have 10 minutes, please. Over to you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Bill. And it's an absolute pleasure to finally meet Dr. Qubein. Yes, we have so much in common. There is another thing that we have in common. In fact, I think I'm ahead of him. He left his home country with $50 in his pocket. I left my home country with $70 but 50 pounds, and I went to England. So I was ahead by 40% relative to him. But I am absolutely delighted to meet him, and I'm really, really, truly impressed with what he has done at High Point. Well, as we all know, that pandemic truly has impacted everybody, but I would dare say that the higher education has been most impacted. And the reason for that one is that we have so many constituents. All of them are important, and everybody wants a piece of you, and they're all in conflict. So you have students, you have parents, you have alumni, you have, especially in the case of state institutions, the politicians, and everybody wants different things. Of course, the politicians want you to do substantially more with substantially less. Parents want kids to be safe and get decent education and be productive citizens. And suddenly, in the middle of all of this thing, we got hit by this pandemic. And frankly, I can only speak for myself. I was like a chicken with head cut off, trying to figure out what do we do? How do we deal with this thing? So suddenly, in the middle of March, we closed, and we had to provide millions of dollars of refund, $19 million just to students for room and board, and pay for PPEs and lots of other things for food services. And then at the top of that, suddenly the state cut us 50% of our appropriation for the last 4 months of the. So we dealt with all of these things, and I'm absolutely amazed that, you know, when people, human nature, when they become under pressure, it's amazing how they function and how they perform. And that's what we did. Our faculty, staff, and everybody got together. We said, okay, this is the time for us to roll our sleeve and be creative and do things so that we can protect the safety and security of our kids and our staff and faculty. And that we did. We really, everybody suddenly went online, and we did our very best, finished the semester, and had both virtual as well as face-to-face commencement, and I started the new semester with a completely different attitude and really well prepared. Well prepared in that we set aside a massive health center with testing facilities, a big hospital. We have a whole dorm of 300 beds for isolation room. We spend millions of dollars on tents and new classrooms and spread the campus, all of those things. And I'm very happy to report that as a result of all of this, currently we have 11 active confirmed cases on campus. 3 of them are in isolation room. Our positivity rate for asymptomatic is 0.6%. Since March when we closed, we had a total of 611 known confirmed cases, of which 212 of them were under residence. Currently, we have well over 10,000 students on campus. 4,100 of them live in our dorms. The balance of them live in the surrounding area. And we have had no known transmission from events or classroom on campus. Primary transmission is from the households and social contacts. So that's really where we are today. But what fundamental change took place during this period was really the change in technology. Suddenly, the people who were really foreign to the concept of use of technology had to force themselves to learn. And right now, almost all of our lives being run by technology. And it's going to have a monumental impact. The higher education is going to change forever. Many institutions are going to disappear. Many institutions are going to merge and be consolidated. Programs are going to disappear. Programs are going to be created. But the world of higher education has changed. It is now, the issue is, what can we provide to people so that their investment is worth it? In terms of the kind of education that we provide and the kind of price that we have and the relevance of that education to the greater society. I think that's really where we're going. And I really do believe that the changes are going to be fundamental. I think the whole issue of academic freedom and tenure and everything is going to be questioned by a large segment of the society. And the technology is going to play a massive, massive role. I'll give you one simple example. If you look at the current climate of politics in this country, and it's been forever, in this country, the issue of the people between the choices between pro-choice and pro-life is a very, very serious issue. We're talking about our Supreme Court nominee right now. But think about it. The technology right now has made it so that through telemedicine, it's possible that in a few years, this whole issue becomes mute. And here is why. There is no need for Planned Parenthood. There's no need for anybody to go to a doctor who is going to be threatened to be killed by anybody. People can easily get Zoom and do anything that they want. And guess what? Massive technology can come in and people can deal with this kind of thing at home without ever leaving home. Farmers, medicine comes home. Doctors' information come home. You can literally sit behind your computer and talk to the best experts around the world about this issue. So what happens 10 years from now? Does this matter? Where do they want to demonstrate? Against whom? So as a result of all of these changes, what I'm trying to say is that the beauty of this whole, if there is a way to call it a beauty, is that technology has become a part of our daily life, and we need to embed it in our new educational system while we keep campuses as a place where young minds leave home and go to these campuses to feel safe and secure and to learn to become good decision makers. We need to, at the same time, make sure that we provide them the education that they deserve and that they need and is relevant to the need of our society and our community. I want to stop at this point and thank you for the interaction.
Dr. Houshmand, thank you very much for your comments, and please stick around. We have a number of questions for you. But let's go to Dr. Qubein from High Point, and maybe you could share with us your personal experience over the last few months in leading High Point University through the pandemic.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Kennedy. It's a pleasure for me to be with you and with my colleague, Dr. Houshmand, who's certainly significantly richer than I am since he began a significant greater amount of capital, as he personally admitted. It is a pleasure to be with you, Bill, and with Dr. Houshmand, whose reputation preceded him as an outstanding leader of Rowan University. And we all know about that school, and we know about his leadership. And I'm delighted to be with you at GIC, a special virtual program today. Look, the world is moving very fast. It's changing. We're, as I told a group of students this morning, in 1955, the world had 3 billion people, and at 1999, that doubled to 6 billion. By 2050, we believe we'll have 10 billion people living in the world. And we tell our students every day that there are 1 million people in the world who can do what you can do, so why should someone do business with you? What is so special about you? This is not an insult. This is a challenge to say that we must be people of value if we expect to have a place in society and a place in this world that's ever moving. As Dr. Houshmand made the case quite well, that technology is certainly at the heart of all that we do. And, you know, it's amazing to me, Uber owns no cars, for example, Airbnb owns no real estate. Amazon can deliver anything that you want, you know, with free shipping. It's the world we're living in today. My daughter-in-law works with a company, as Dr. Houshmand was alluding to, where you can get your medical, most of your medical needs supplied virtually. You know, you can make a Zoom call with the doctor, work all the stuff out. It is not the world I grew up in, right? It's not the world that I was used to, but we all have to adjust to this new world. And as leaders of the university, we have to ensure that we're actualizing these differences in our world in a way that's meaningful to our students, in a way that makes sense to their parents, but more importantly, that we're preparing our students for the world as it is going to be. Now, I know that you want me to talk about COVID and how we dealt with COVID. Just a word about High Point University. High Point University in 2005 was a 91-acre landlocked university in the midst of a residential area. Today, we're 520 acres. In 2005, we had 18 buildings. Today, we have 112 buildings. In 2005, we had a budget of about $28 million in revenues. Today, we're $325 million. We had 1,450 students, full-time students at High Point in 2005. Today, we have 5,600 and some students beyond that. We have 2,000 full-time employees. And as you said, Bill, earlier, we are #1 according to U.S. News and World Report, among best colleges in the South. But that's 9 years running, by the way, consecutive years with a score of 100 out of 100. But more importantly, we were ranked #1 most innovative school, which is really what I care about. As Dr. Houshmand was saying, the world is moving so fast, and that means that we have to adapt, be agile, be resilient, be flexible, be open-minded, have a growth mindset, but also for sure, we have to be innovative. If we're not innovative in our academic institutions, people will see no reason why they should come here and learn in this environment. So at High Point University, we have 93% of our undergraduate students living on campus. That's a remarkable number. This business of COVID-19 was serious for us. So we had to be prepared, much like Dr. Houshmand said, about mid-March. We were on spring break, luckily, and we just told students to stay home. And you can just imagine the correspondence we got from those who agreed with us, those who didn't agree with us, the parents, students, everybody stood up and opined about what we should do and how we should react and respond. That is the work of a president, Bill. You know, we all face that every day. You can't please everybody, but you just got to do the right thing for the population or the community on a college campus. So we too went virtual. Our faculty were remarkable, adapted very quickly, delivered the program. We had a few issues here and there, but generally it went quite well. And then we decided that in August, we will open up a week later, take away the fall break, and a week earlier, by November 24, we send them home. We do exams then the first week of December. And we said we will be in person on campus as planned, and our audience generally cheered. So shy of maybe 5% who felt like maybe it's not safe to do that, most of our parents and students were very, very desirous to come back to school. We did tell our students, however, should we have to disrupt school this fall, we will not refund housing. We will refund food. We will not refund tuition. And we made a business case that we have employees, we have fixed costs. And when you expect us to deliver the kind of service, the high level of service that we do at High Point through mentorship and through all kinds of services to parents and students, that I just can't, if I refunded your money, I wouldn't know how to run this place. So again, 5% argued the point, 95% understood it. Fortunately, we have not had to close the school. We prepared very, very well. Obviously, with all the things you can imagine, signage, distancing, finding new classrooms, expanding the opportunities, education galore, videos, audio, all kinds of sound bites that we would send almost on a daily basis, letting our people know that I expect you to behave, I expect you to be civil, I expect you to, wear your mask, wash your hands, distance 6 feet, and so on. And that's in your best interest to do that. So remarkably, today we have under 20 who are COVID-19, and we did have a larger number at one point, and we have prepared thoroughly by making contractual agreements with 8 different hotels in this area. So the moment someone was COVID-19, we were able to house them instantly. And the way it worked is we took our student health center and we tripled its size. And we have 12 professionals full-time, including an MD and nurse practitioners and physician assistant. We bought 1,000 tests and put them in stock. And these were rapid tests, and then of course the 24-hour test. And if you felt anything at all, you went. I mean, we did all kinds of other stuff, temperature and all of that. But if you felt anything, you went to the health center. They tested you. If you were positive, you didn't go back to your room. We had a whole staff, a care team, if you will, that made sure that you were taken to the hotel. You stayed in the hotel. The hotel had everything: refrigerator, microwave, etc. And then our care team saw to it that you had a supply of food and toiletries and all of that, while we were able to bring some of your private belongings from your room to the hotel. And then we put a security guard on every floor in every hotel, and we provide a nurse to check on every one of those students. Now, it cost us a ton of money. I heard Dr. Houshmand said that he had $19 million in refunds and costs, and we did too. We had about $21 million to date in costs. The government gave us back about $1.25 million or so to keep. But when you have more than 500 employees, as you know, you don't qualify for all the grants and benefits. So we did everything that we could, and we abided very carefully by CDC recommendations in the North Carolina Department of Health, and that really paid off. And then we had a concierge service here that answered all the parents' questions online. So any parent had any question, they got the answer immediately. Whatever they wanted to know, we got the answer for them. So there was it was really a very articulate way to connect and communicate with all of our constituencies. I, for example, sent an email every single week to our board of trustees. Just make sure everybody was on board. Everybody knew what we were doing. As a result, we opened up school in August and increased enrollment by 5.6%. It's remarkable. We had done 7 scenarios suggesting, what if we lost 10%? What if we lost 25%? What if we lost 50%? We even identified where we would cut costs and what we would do. As it turned out, we didn't have to do any of those things. So it just worked. I'm very grateful. First, the miracle of High Point University, the story is well known. Smack dab in the middle of the Great Recession, most disrupted times, economic times, the last 85 years of America's history, we still grew fourfold, 1,400 students to 5,600. But more importantly, we grew in the academic offerings of High Point. We went from 3 academic schools to 9 academic schools, from just granting undergraduate degrees to undergraduate degrees, master's degrees, doctorate degrees. Today, we have almost 600 doctoral candidates at any given time. We went strictly from liberal arts to all kinds of professional programs like physical therapy, physician assistant, doctor of pharmacy, and so on and so forth. So, I think you will find, Bill, that most schools have been very responsible in their dealing with COVID-19. We all care deeply about our students. They're entrusted to us by their parents, and we want to do everything we can to make sure that they're safe, that they are receiving an extraordinary academic opportunity at High Point, and that COVID-19, you would be naive to think, we told parents, we're all naive to think we're not going to have cases. Question is not what happens to you that matters, it's how you respond to it. And we were ready, willing, and able to respond to it. We did, and now, of course, we're enjoying a terrific time. We have 5 weeks to go before the end of the semester. We will open in the spring. We'll open in person, exactly as planned. And of course, if something happens in the country that's dramatically different from what we know today, obviously, we're all agile and flexible, and we will realign as need be to make sure that our students and their families receive a significant value and response from High Point. I'm happy to discuss some of the future of higher education and so on in the next segment.
Great. Thank you very much, Dr. Qubein. So one of the things that was mentioned in your remarks, and this is for both Dr. Houshmand and Dr. Qubein, the communication from the CDC, the communication from state health authorities. Maybe Dr. Houshmand, we'll start with you. Can you just talk about how did you and your trustees and the institution interact with the state health authorities, and was it additive, or did it create more confusion than answers? Maybe you could start and talk about the Rowan experience.
It was absolutely additive and very, very much needed. I think this problem is much bigger than any one of us can solve. Therefore, we needed all the help that we can. And furthermore, quite honestly, one issue that higher education faces, this is very, very serious, is the whole issue of liability. And we need to make sure that we follow what the state as well as the federal government says, and to be protective of our institution. Therefore, I really think that we needed to listen to these entities, to seek advice from them. In fact, we had the Secretary of Health and Human Services from our state, as well as Dr. Deborah Birx were here last week. And we listened to their advice. They come in here and they examine our campus. In fact, Dr. Birx, when she came here to visit, they came the night before and they went and without us knowing around the campus and tried to kind of check everything that we were going to say is consistent with what they observed. And so these things are very, very important. We need to make sure that we obtain the expertise of anybody who is out there who really can help us, because this is a big problem and it cannot be solved by us.
Dr. Qubein?
Yes, well, I agree with everything Dr. Houshmand is saying, and it's not fair that he goes first every time, because I become redundant in everything I say. At least he doesn't interrupt in this debate. I'm muting myself voluntarily, by the way, so I adapt and adopt to your rules and regulations, Bill. But seriously, of course, I agree with him that we followed the recommendation of CDC. That was very helpful to us. And of course, we had close contact with the governor of North Carolina, with the Secretary of Health and Social Services. I personally was on a Zoom call every single week with all the presidents of schools in North Carolina, universities of North Carolina, both on the public side and then on the private side. And we shared ideas and we exchanged strategies. Also, we had twice a week on Tuesday and Thursday an afternoon meeting with the health department in our own county, right here, Guilford County in North Carolina. So obviously we listen to all of those. Now we on our own staff here, we have MDs on our own, within our own faculty, obviously. And we have, health services programs. We also have a terrific partnership with Novant. Novant Health is a very large provider, and we have access to all of their hospitals and all of their facilities. So we had a tremendous infusion of expertise. But gentlemen, as I think you will agree with me, a lot of this also is common sense. When parents entrust their children to a university like High Point, Well, we have to rise to the occasion and acknowledge that we have a tremendous responsibility. These are our own children. We have to make sure that they're safe in every way. We have to make sure that they're provided the best health services possible. This is no time to be cutting costs. This is a time to ensure that we really deliver on everything we say. We believe in under-promising and over-delivering, and we do it thoughtfully and thoroughly every day, and it pays very rich dividends for us. And so, at the end of the day, we say, what's the right thing to do? Well, the right thing to do is to make sure that we are putting forth every resource this university has, both human and fiscal, both physical and medical, to ensure that our population is taken care of. That's exactly what we did. Today, my heart is filled with gratitude for our task force, which I appointed back in March, chaired by the Dean of the School of Health Sciences. And it had all the important, that we had student life, we have facilities, we had food service, all were represented in this group. And we met literally every morning at 8 o'clock. And we went over what is going on, what we should do, how do we prepare, and so on. And so that just worked brilliantly for us. And listening, of course, to medical professionals has always helped. Now, any one of us who's got any degree of sensibility knows that no good program is built by any one individual. It takes a village, and the village has to have within it the appropriate expertise. And that means the leadership on campus, and that means leadership in the medical sector, and then you frame that expertise with the appropriate resources, both fiscal and physical, to make sure that you're on the right track.
Great, thank you for that.
Can I go first next time, please?
You may.
Yes, I vote for that.
Give me a minute so I can say something really intelligent, so it makes it hard for him to come after me and not be redundant.
So we'll stick on the thesis and about innovation. You both mentioned innovation. Dr. Qubein, I will start with you on this question. Every crisis really drives innovative thinking and innovative solutions, and I don't think this will be different. As we think about innovation in teaching and innovation in higher education, looking out 5 years, 10 years from now, obviously technology and the use of technology has been front-loaded, but what do you see as the innovative changes that will come for higher education in the years ahead?
Well, as we can all surmise, there are many innovative trends today. As Dr. Houshmand said early on, so much of it is embedded in technology or supported by technology or invented by technology or infused somehow by technology. So there's no running away from that. We're in the age of acceleration, and college campuses have got to be upfront and center with the latest and the best, not because it's a fad, but because it's a necessary ingredient in the development of the educational journey of our students. But part of that innovation, I think, goes beyond the classroom. And I tell everybody here, knowledge does not equal understanding. And so we are really challenged to ensure that we provide the best academic programs. That means stellar faculty, that means state-of-the-art physical facilities, as in laboratories, classrooms, as in technology, as in experiential learning programs. But beyond that, I think we have to understand, we have to acknowledge that it's in the actualization of knowledge, especially on the undergraduate level. It's the actualization of knowledge that really brings the results in someone's life. So we want our students to learn inside the classroom, but then go beyond the classroom and apply in ways that can really serve them throughout their career. And so we make a distinction between training and education. For example, we say, when you train somebody, you show them the how. When you educate somebody, you teach them the why. And when you train somebody, you show them what to do. When you educate someone, you show them how to be. And part of the educational journey must be transformational, must help a freshman to a senior level to become, to grow into, to achieve a greater piece of their potential, to grow in wisdom, right? Not just to make a straight A in every class, But beyond that, what are you doing to build the whole person? So at Hype University, one of the primary areas that we have been very, very innovative is creating the premier life skills university program and concept. And I wish I had enough time to tell you every detail of it, but let me just give you a quick overview. So we say that every student who's fortunate enough to enter the hallways of this university, learn, grow, develop, and then exit the hallways of this university to serve, to grow, to do more, be more, and to be a citizen of the world, that somehow along that journey, that student must develop life skills and must evolve as a human being who can operate in an ever-changing, highly competitive, flat world. We tell them you're not going to compete with someone in a neighboring city anymore, a neighboring state anymore. You're going to be competing with BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, countries in the middle and countries beyond. So we need to step that up. And that means develop the mind, right? Develop the whole person. And I tell them, for example, that you got to know the difference between connecting and communicating, between selling your ideas and positioning yourself so people would listen to your ideas, right? These are important points. You have to know the difference between risk management and risk avoidance. You take risk out of life, you take opportunity out of life. You have to know the difference between energy management and time management. You can be the greatest time manager in the world and not really be that effective. So you have to know how to manage your energy properly. And by that, I mean just you individually, physically, but also the team that you lead or the organization that you lead or the sector in which you serve. That's what leadership is, creating capacity in yourself and in other people. So we've developed an ecosystem that has, from the moment, actually 6 months before you come here as a freshman, meeting with your success coach, you develop this journey that evolves you as a person with life skills. So that when you graduate, you are ready to start a business or get a job or a career in a distinguished place, or go to graduate school of your own choice, or serve in the nonprofit sector if you so choose. But we want you to be adept, we want you to be ready, and we want you to be confident. And confidence comes from only one place, comes from competence. But when you have competence, you have the right to be confident. You get that competence from knowledge, skills, experience. So here at High Point, we took the word innovation and said, how can we go beyond the normal definition of innovation? As we just stated, technology, laboratories, research, etc. And how can we develop the whole person? And you would think this is commonplace. It's not. This is, if not unique, it's highly differentiated. High Point University does not want to swim in an ocean of sameness. There are 4,000 fine institutions of higher learning in America. And we live every day with the question, why would someone choose to come to High Point University? I mean, High Point University is not inexpensive. High Point University is not, on the beach somewhere. High Point University, and yet we offer so much. And so we say to ourselves, we don't want to swim in an ocean of sameness. We don't want to swim in a lake of differentiation. We want to swim in a small pool of distinction. And so we have taken this notion about life skills, and we have truly invested wisely and immensely in it, in a way that our parents and our constituencies cheer us on. But Bill, also, we're very clear on values, and that's another point, that universities, because they have to respond to both academic protocols and, if it's a public school, political, infusion of influence, shall we say, we've chosen to make our values very clear. We're a God, family, and country school. Now, we believe in diversity and inclusion. We welcome every student to our campus. We don't tell them how to think. We show them the why of thinking and so on. But at the end of the day, we're very clear on our values. And we're not going to appeal to everybody in America or the world. But let me tell you, we appeal to a ton of people who come here from all backgrounds and all persuasions, both spiritual, political, you name it. And somehow there's an amalgamation of all that, because we say we're preparing you for life and you need to be a leader when you graduate from this university. One more thought. We even have a master's degree titled Masters in Communication and Business Leadership, which we guarantee every student on this campus, they can get their degree tuition free, because we believe if you don't know something about communication, if you don't know something about business, if you don't know something about leadership, you're just not fully prepared for this ever-changing world. And it's part of our responsibility to arm you, to resource you in this way. We also guarantee an internship for every student. We also guarantee graduation in 4 years. I mean, we've taken a practical approach. At the same time, we respected thoughtfully and thoroughly and continually the essence of the academy. And that's why faculty and staff work in unison. There is no conflict there. They work in unison. We show that, for example, liberal arts is connected to life skills. Education is connected to life skills. And I must tell you, the result of all that, the bottom line of all that is pretty darn good. And it works for us. So innovation is our middle name. For 6 years in a row, U.S. News and World Report picked us #1 most innovative among best colleges in the South. It's very costly. It takes mega investments to make that happen. But on the other hand, it is what we ought to do. Invest in our young people, planting seeds of greatness in their mind, in their heart, and in their soul.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Qubein. Dr. Houshmand, same question to you in terms of innovation, and how do you see the delivery of university education changing in the years ahead?
Well, I think there's going to be a monumental change. But let's look at the higher education from its inception. Higher education in this country was developed as it stands today during the agrarian economy 200 years ago. And really not much has changed. The wise people in those days said, let the kids go to school for fall and spring, and in the summer they go to the farm and help the parents and do all the good things. And we are still doing the same thing. And the reason for that one is that when you ask a professor, how many of you does it take to change a light bulb? They say, oh my God, change? And this has always been a serious issue for change. But I think this pandemic, if there's one thing, it has really taught us that we are now forced to be changed. And that's what I like about it. And the changes that we are looking at really fundamental. We are now had retreat very recently, and we formed committees that look at, for example, the academia future. The notion that we think about sages going on a stage and teaching kids for 1.5 hours writing on the board, those days are over. The professor of the future are going to be guides on the side. In fact, as we speak today, the 17-year-olds are much more technology savvy than many of the professors. So who is teaching whom? So we are looking at the academia future. That's one of the committees. How are we going to deliver courses? Another question, why is it in God's name, every degree in this country, every 4-year degree takes exactly 120 semester and 4 years to do, whether you become an engineer or a truck driver, or I'm an engineer or a historian or a philosopher? Who said that? This whole notion of everything has to be cookie cutter is going to go away. People need, you're looking at Google right now, it's got a started a certification that they can offer for 6 months. And if you satisfy that and get the scores, they can hire you for $50,000, $60,000. So people are going to question these things. So that's the issue of the academic. Academic is going to really reshape. The credentialing is going to change. The second thing is infrastructure. Like the Qubein said, I've got a large number of buildings. Buildings are expensive. They require maintenance, they require planning, and kids of today expect the best. The question is, are we going to continue millions of dollars of taxpayers and build buildings that as we speak today are empty? And the future knows that maybe the faculty do not need to come to the office? We've got the greatest shortage that we had before pandemic was offices and parking. The greatest number of those that are available right now, parking and offices. So what are we going to do in the buildings? Are we going to spend the students' tuition and fees and spend billions of dollars on building infrastructure that we will not use? That's the second thing. The third thing is pricing. In this country, because of the way that has been set together, it turns out that the poor kids always subsidize the rich kids. Why? Because the poor kids come in, they cannot afford it, they have to go and work 20, 30 hours, they spend less time on the study, it takes them 6 years to graduate, whereas a kid who comes in with no debt and everything is paid for graduates in 4 years. So that means that 6-year kid is subsidizing the 4-year kid. You need to stop this thing. So another committee for us is the whole issue of pricing. How are you going to price things? How do we start blaming ourselves instead of blaming students? Because up until now, we were saying that, well, if a student doesn't graduate in 5 years, it's his fault or her fault. What about asking the question, why on earth did you give them bad advice so that it takes them 5 years? Why couldn't you do it in 4 years? And as a result, we're going to demand that sometimes the fault is on us. Maybe we need not charge students extra for the extra courses that they take as a result of our bad advice. That's the third issue that we are looking at. The fourth thing is remote working from remote. Are we going to have people coming in their hundreds and in the confined area and study and work, or are we going to look at a different method? So we are another committee seriously looking at remote working versus home working. As far as I'm concerned, my motto is the work has to get done and has to get done on time. And I don't care how you do it. I don't care who does it. I don't care how it gets done. It gets done. Therefore, we are looking at that as an issue. And the last one, the most important one, in my opinion, the whole issue of diversity. How do we deal with the campus in this charged environment where we can create a civil society and civil campus where people do not beat each other up for political reason and can get along, can have discussion, can grow together, can make decisions together, and can become productive citizens together. So these are the issues that we are looking at in terms of opportunities. And I will tell you, I'm sitting in here, I am getting, because I see in a few years, Rowan University and higher education that are going to stay and so on, they're going to do amazing stuff. I look at this thing right now. We went from 10,000 to 20,000, almost 20,000. I see us being 50,000 student institution in 10 years or so. That's our goal. We are going in that direction, not because we want to just grow for the sake of growth, but because I believe that in this economy today, where the greatest threat to the United States is cyber as well as bio war, we need to get every American kid educated and prepared to deal in this complex world. Therefore, education is not because their income level goes up. That's important. But we want to create a secure country, and the secure country is secured by its citizen. And if you have every single citizen educated, you will have a country that can be protected. So these are the issues that we are looking at in terms of future.
President Houshmand, let me ask the question, because I think I heard you say one of the things that will change is the hybrid model of education, both online learning and being on campus may be here to stay. It may be a permanent fixture. Is that, am I interpreting that correctly?
No, I'm saying that think about the classroom of future. Think about the course next year, a professor does, where instead of having Tuesdays and Thursdays from, let's say, 10 to 11:30, the course is completely asynchronous. And the professor as a guide keeps sending clips, whether it's a YouTube clips, a TED talk, a simple article somewhere. The things that takes 2, 5, 7 minutes to get the attention of the kids to learn something and go to the next. And the collection of all of these things, and a la carte of various ways of delivering to people content becomes the education of future. Because current model is sage on the stage. Those days are over. The professors have to start, especially those who have spent 20 years teaching the same course, the same material, and haven't changed a bit on it. They need to change now because they have no choice. If they don't, the students will not show up in the classes.
President Qubein, any thoughts, President Houshmand's comments?
I find myself sitting here very, very concerned about Dr. Houshmand because he lacks enthusiasm, he lacks passion. He is not very eloquent in the way he expresses his ideas. There certainly is an ambiguity about what he's talking about. And therefore, I'm going to send him one of my books in hopes that this will help his career as he moves on. Listen, he just outlined for you in a very brief way exactly what higher education is facing and will face. And he very articulately made the case that if those of us in higher education don't change and adapt and realign and transform, we will be left behind. And there will be other channels that could be used to disseminate education in ways that we know about today, but in ways perhaps yet to be imagined. So he is right, and he's right about diversity, and he's right about global diversity. It's not just diversity in the way we define it in the States, but it is a global diversity. And it's a diversity of background, but it's also diversity of thought, it's a diversity of inclination, all these things that make for a very healthy society. The one point I want to make is I think there may be a slight difference, and maybe not, but let me just make the point. There may be a slight difference among public institutions and private institutions. And I don't know that my thesis is right, but here goes. We are a private institution at Hype University. We are a residential institution. And I believe that the future is very bright for us. I believe while we will also be either rewarded or victimized by how we reshape education, by how we deal with prices, by how we deal with remote issues, by how we deal with diversity and all of that. No quarrel from me on that. However, there will always be a segment of society that appreciates the residential value of a university, because that bespeaks beyond, of course, going to class and getting a degree. That also bespeaks of the development of the whole person. Problem solving, solution finding, building relational capital, understanding how to interpret value, understanding how to get along with others, understanding how to overcome conflict. All of these things come when you work and live communally, if you will, on a college campus. And research, of course, has shown us that individuals who are, especially undergraduate, we're not talking about doctoral students who are doing research and so on, but undergraduate students, you're talking about a 17, 18-year-old coming to college, leaving home for the first time, perhaps. And we know that research empirically tells us that those students do better academically when they are a part of a residential environment. So I will put forth for discussion or elaboration the notion that a High Point University will survive all of these dynamic forces that higher education will certainly face by providing value, by interpreting the value, by ensuring that the student graduates with the life skills he or she needs, not just life skills for the fun of it, but he or she needs to excel and compete in an ever-changing world and in all kinds of complex environments with all kinds of demands and minimum requirements needed to do your work quite well. So we're operating on that model. And remember, we only have 5,600 students, so we're not trying to grow to be 20, 30,000. And as a result of that, we believe we will do just fine. We even had undergraduate students who graduated, and when we offered some graduate programs, many of them choose to live on campus. So we've created here a familial environment that truly feeds the soul, the heart, not just the mind. And there is value in that. You know, as Maslow told us a long time ago, belonging is indeed one of those human needs that we all want in our lives. So yes, I agree with everything my colleague said, and I just add that we might have a little bit more latitude here, and you know, I could go on, but we offer special programs, like we have a program called Academic Excellence for the student who needs a little more attention, a little more focus. We guide them through the process. There's some terrific programs on this campus that I don't think you can get remotely. And in fact, when we did, when we went remote in the spring, our students were begging to come back on campus. I'm not saying that's only for academic reasons. I know that social reasons also enter the picture, and that's that's part of the college experience. I don't know about Dr. Houshmand, but when I came to America, I had to work my way through college. I suspect he's very much like me. I had to work every single day to pay for school. In those days, you could, because school cost $5,000 or $6,000. Today, it's practically impossible for someone to pay their entire, especially private school, to pay their entire tuition, room and board by just working while they're attending college. And that's the question of affordability, which all of us, of course, are dealing with, and all of us are concerned about, and all of us are committed to improve our ways.
Great, thank you very much. So sensitive to the time, I want to get some of our audience questions in, if we could.
Bill, I think Dr. Houshmand is going to debate me on a point, because I just heard him interrupt a moment ago. So either you mute his microphone or you let him take me on.
Dr. Houshmand, I'm sorry if I stepped on you. You had a point to make?
Actually, what he said, what Dr. Qubein said about the residential campus, I absolutely agree with. I'm not, what I said does not suggest that the campus life, that experience for a 17 and 18-year-old to go somewhere is that is safe and secure and then start learning to become a decision maker and a productive citizen is absolutely essential. It's really, really essential. Just one minor thing. My first job at the United Kingdom, when I entered with my 70 pounds or dollars or 50 pounds, I became one of the greatest Kentucky Fried Chicken cooks in the world. I could cook process 75 whole chickens in 3 hours, and they would pay me for 6 because I use optimization, mathematical modeling to do it. So I have worked as well all the way.
Well, Dr. Houshmand, my students have been asking me why am I not making some sauce and giving it to them? So you're ruining my reputation here.
I will send you a box, my friend. I will send you a whole box full of hot sauce, and you can give them to your students.
All right, I look forward to it.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm going to see if I can bring this back under control, gentlemen. So, Dr. Houshmand, this question is going to be for you from a GIC member. Are students required to be technology literate, or how do you ensure as an institution that the students, particularly in this environment, have the technology skills? And going forward, thinking about coding, machine learning, big data, how's the university preparing their students in that way?
Well, yes, students are technologically literate. The only difference is some are more capable of having access to better technology than others. We are looking at the whole issue of online education. We have kids who live in Camden. Camden is not a very wealthy town, and there are many single mothers who have got kids. These people do not have bandwidth or even access to internet. So what we did, we have reached out to these people and we have given them computers. And in fact, during the peak of the pandemic, we kept 250 of these kids in our dorm. We literally delivered 3 meals a day, every day, and made sure that they were safe and secure over there because they didn't have those resources at their home. So I think this is very, very important for us to really make sure that, yes, technology is there, but is equally distributed amongst us because there is so much disparity right now in terms of the ability to use technology to do new things, because we're talking about the knowledge economy, and those who have got access to the fastest technology and can acquire information and data and massage that data and make decisions based on data, they're going to be successful. And every time you keep an individual denying access to that level of knowledge and technology, that means you're preventing them from growing. So it really is absolutely essential for all of us to create a level playing field for everybody so that all of them can really compete in an equal world.
And Bill, if I may add,
please.
He's so right. And our Houshmand faculty, as we speak, are reimagining and realigning some of our general education courses. We're pursuing technology courses in a big way. Yes, they're learning, these students, they're technically oriented and proficient, but we're adding all kinds of stuff like coding courses, for example, and others that we want our students to be very, very aware of. So there's no question that what he's saying is absolutely true. Also in High Point, our university is very, very engaged in the community, and we have adopted, for example, schools here where we provide iPads, technology, mentorship, and we're reaching beyond that to the general population and providing resources, both human resources, financial resources, to ensure that people do have access to Wi-Fi and other areas, because he's right. If you don't have access to that, then you are coming at it from a very deficient position, which is not right. So we're all dealing with the same issues.
So, Dr. Qubein, question for you regarding High Point's success, ability to manage through the pandemic relative to some of the competing schools in North Carolina and in the region. And I'm going to try to put 2 or 3 questions together. A, what advice would you give to other schools who have not had as much success? And specifically, can you speak to what High Point has done around contact tracing, testing, and staying on top and ahead of the curve. What do you think has led to this success thus far at High Point, and what advice would you give to other larger institutions?
Well, Bill, thank you for the question, and whoever asked the question, thank you. It's a very good question, very interesting question. Let me begin by saying that I have the deepest respect for all of the institutions of higher education, North Carolina and beyond, and each has a leader at the top who works very diligently and who's committed certainly to bring forth the very best resources and programs for the students and for the community. So I don't know that I can give anybody something they may not already know. All I do know is that we wake up every morning absolutely committed to make High Point University extraordinary. Our mantra is choose to be extraordinary. That's our call to action, choose to be extraordinary. We work very, very hard to make that happen every day. Extraordinary doesn't mean perfect. It just means do your very best every day in every way to become all that you can become. And so it's not always a comparative stage that we're on. And if we compare ourselves to anything, we compare ourselves to our own potential and our own abilities. As far as COVID-19 is concerned, if I could humbly say, we were very, very thoroughly prepared. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. We were absolutely determined we're going to be prepared. So we started in March, to the extent one can be prepared. I mean, there are surprises, of course. This is a pandemic, but to the extent one can be prepared, we did everything we could. So we did our own contact tracing. We subscribed and invested in software to do that. It took 7 minutes, typically about 7 minutes to find the tracing. At the moment, someone's COVID-19, we had systems to do that right away. We recruited a very large group of people on campus who volunteered to be involved in this and dispatching and contacting and making all these arrangements. We did all the mechanical things, all the transactional things, right? From having the test, having the thermostats across campus, thermometers across campus to make sure that we have access to it everywhere. We did the shields, we did the mask, you name it, we did it. But most importantly, we were mentally and emotionally ready. We assumed the worst. We believed that the students are going to come back and we're going to have mega problems. How do we deal with it? I mean, at one point we had as many as 600 people who were quarantined because of the contact tracing, right? You get one student in a Greek, fraternity or sorority who has it, and all of a sudden you might have 20 or 30, or one on an athletic team. We're a Division I school, one on an athletic team practicing, and you have a ton of people who have to be quarantined. But it's remarkable. Think about delivering food to all the students that you might have in hotels, quarantined and isolated alike. Think about that. Think about making sure that their parents who cannot see them feel comfortable in terms of your communication. So I would say, this pandemic in a very, very strange kind of way has been, an opportunity for us to grow as an institution. We really found out the fabric and the fiber of our people, how they all came together. I've had senior VPs on Sundays with their families, picking up food and delivering it to hotels. I mean, just imagine that. Someone in a hotel who needs a toothbrush or who needs a hair dryer or something, our people delivered that to them to a T. It's a remarkable preparation that we had done. And I think it'll pay rich dividends, in terms of making us a stronger institution. But in a strange kind of way, it also brought our community together. We are one. We will work together. We will lament the fact that any one person got COVID-19. We will also work hard at preventing that from spreading across the institution. Now, the reality of it is we didn't have one person go to the hospital. These are young people, as you know. And we had very, very few. We had maybe 7 or 8 staff or faculty out of, 1,500, 2,000 who were stricken with COVID-19. That's a remarkable commentary on the fact that our people took it seriously. They were very responsible. And as a result, it went quite well.
Great, thank you. So we're going to give the last word to Dr. Houshmand. I know he got the first word, but Dr. Houshmand, the question from the audience, if there's one single benchmark metric that you or your administration and the trustees feel that it's the one signal you're looking for, that life is going to go back to normal, whatever that means, what's that one metric that you're focused on?
This is the Third World War with an enemy that is not, it does not even weigh 1 ounce and is invisible, and it doesn't understand border, race, gender, or anything else. And in this war, it's the entire community, population of the world versus this pandemic. And the only way we can deal with it, that every single individual assume responsibility and do the things that need to do so that the world can get back to normal. There is no other solution that I can think of. All this talk about vaccine comes and tomorrow we're going to be fine. It's a joke. 330 million vaccine wide. It's going to take months and months to just deliver them. If anybody knows anything about logistics, they understand what I'm talking about. Therefore, to me right now, the greatest thing that all of us do, not panic, especially as leaders. That's something that is very important to me. Do not panic. Be absolutely as transparent as possible. Always tell everybody the truth. And do what I just said in here, that do your responsibility. I come to work. I go out running. I have a big farm. I grow peppers. I have students that I hire and I talk to them, but I cover myself all the time. And I think that's really what it is. It's unfortunate that even a mask has become a political issue in here. It's a mask. It protects you. That's all it is. There is nothing. I'm not making any statements. I'm not sending anybody any message. The only thing that I'm doing is protecting myself and others. So I think that's really what it is. So what is the responsibility? Do your part. And if we do, we can open this country, this amazing country, and keep on growing and being more and more prosperous. That's what I believe.
Dr. Qubein, I know I said it was the last word, but I can tell you have something to add.
Well, I want to extend a personal invitation to my colleague, Dr. Houshmand, to come visit me at Haifa University, deliver his sauces in person. And I think he and I would have a great day chatting about things that matter and a few things that we'll chat about just for the heck of it. So you have a standing invitation. The red carpet is out to you, for you. Anytime you want to come, you let me know. I'll order sunshine. I'll make sure it's beautiful outside, and we will break bread together. But do wait till the masks are gone, and so that we can see each other and laugh and be comrades in this important work. And Bill, to you, I give you great thanks for organizing this meeting. It's very helpful to me. I enjoyed listening very, very much, learning and taking notes. And I thank you and thank GIC for making this opportunity possible for all of us.
Well,
and the
Dr.
same,
Qubein,
thank you. And Dr. Qubein, you two are amazing. Thank you very much. It truly was an amazing pleasure for me to meet you, and look forward to absolutely come to your great state and visit with you.
Thank you, sir.
well, and on behalf of the GIC, I want to thank both of you for being with us today, for sharing your wisdom and your insights. We hope we can be together soon and to be in person, but until then, please be safe.
Thank you.
So
Thank
audience, the executive briefing returns November 5th with Dr. Bruce Gellin, who is the president of global immunization at the Sabin Vaccine Institute. Dr. Gellin will provide an update on different vaccine clinical trials that are underway, and will discuss the strategies for rolling out vaccinations against COVID-19 across the US and globally. So please don't miss it. That's November 5th. Finally, a feature of the COTAC Global Healthcare Series is Generous Matching Donation Challenge. I'm pleased to report that the GIC is over halfway to our $50,000 matching gift goal. Through year end, any donation made to the GIC will be matched dollar for dollar. In other words, a $1,000 donation becomes $2,000 in value and impact. All proceeds go directly towards producing high quality content, much like today's program, that we can provide as a public service. To donate, learn more about membership, please go to our website at www.interdependence.org. As we conclude, we encourage you to take 60 seconds to respond to our audience survey. Your feedback is very important to us. Let us know how we can improve our programming. We thank you for your attention and good afternoon.